This is the early edition, a curated weekday guide to major news and developments over the past 24 hours, curated by Veronica Galka and Lizzie Jennings, and read by an automated voice. Published October 1st, 2025 on Just Security, an essential resource for those shaping a just and secure world. Here's today's news. Trump administration actions, defense policy. President Trump yesterday told hundreds of top U.S. generals and admirals that U.S. cities should be used as training grounds for the military and that quelling civil disturbances is going to be a major part for some people in this room because it's a war from within. In a largely partisan speech, Trump also praised his own policies and criticized former President Biden. Helene Cooper, Eric Schmidt, and Sean McCreish report for the New York Times. Melissa Quinn reports for CBS News. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who spoke before Trump, told the military leaders that he would overhaul the Pentagon channels that allow troops and defense personnel to file whistleblower complaints and report toxic leadership. Hegseth also said he is rolling out 10 new directives involving physical fitness, new grooming requirements, and a return to the highest male standard. Hegseth also told the leaders to resign if the words he's speaking are making their hearts sink. Tara Kopp and Noah Robertson report for The Washington Post. Phil Stewart and Idris Ali report for Reuters. Trump and Hegseth's addresses to the military leaders were more like a press conference than briefing the generals, according to a defense official who spoke with Politico. Could have been an email, the official said. A second official said the summit was on the spectrum of loyalty to ideology and a total waste of money. Jack Detch and Leo Shane III report. Other Trump administration actions. The White House has withdrawn the nomination of E.J. Antoni, the former chief economist at the Heritage Foundation, to lead the Bureau of Labor Statistics, sources say. Republican Senators Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Arkansas reportedly refused to meet with Antoni, prompting concerns about the strength of his nomination. CNN earlier this month reported that Antoni operated a Twitter account that contained sexually degrading attacks on Kamala Harris, derogatory remarks about gay people, conspiracy theories, and crude insults aimed at perceived critics of Trump. A White House official indicated Trump would soon nominate a new candidate. Kristen Holmes, Adam Cankren, and Andrew Kaczynski report for CNN. Paul Kiernan, Alex Leary, and Brian Schwartz report for The Wall Street Journal. The Office of Management and Budget last week informed the Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency, a federal office that supports the government's 72 inspectors general, that it would block the congressionally approved money that would fund operations through the next fiscal year. On Monday, Republican Senators Susan Collins of Maine and Chuck Grassley of Iowa, who chair the Appropriations and Judiciary Committees, wrote to the OMB calling for explanation and a prompt reversal of the move. Merrill Cornfield reports for The Washington Post. The Environmental Protection Agency yesterday announced that it is planning to relax a Biden-era rule that requires grocery stores, air conditioning companies, semiconductor plants, and others to reduce the use of superpollutant hydrofluorocarbons in cooling equipment. Lisa Friedman reports for The New York Times. The Education Department and Health and Human Services Department civil rights offices yesterday accused the Minnesota Department of Education and the Minnesota State High School League of violating Title IX by allowing transgender athletes to participate in girls' sports. The offices said the state has 10 days to voluntarily accept a list of conditions to reverse its sports policies or risk imminent enforcement action. Steve Karnowski reports for AP News. The Trump administration is close to striking a deal with Harvard University, Trump said yesterday. The deal would include Harvard making a $500 million payment, and operating trade schools, Trump said, without offering further details. Nandita Bose, Nate Raymond, and Kanishka Singh report for Reuters. Trump administration lawyers are trying to quash fired federal workers' ability to appeal their firings to the Merit Systems Protection Board by arguing that the quasi-judicial agency must follow DOJ guidance in adjudicating the workers' complaints, The Washington Post reports. The administration made its arguments in the case of two immigration judges who successfully argued that they were not given due process in their dismissals. Merrill Cornfield reports. The acting Inspector General for the National Archives and Records Administration, Will Brown, yesterday announced that he has initiated an investigation into the release of Representative Mickey Sherrill's, Democrat of New Jersey, military records to an ally of Jack Ciattarelli, Sherrill's Republican opponent in the New Jersey gubernatorial race. Rai Rivard and Madison Fernandez report for Politico. U.S. domestic developments. The first federal government shutdown since 2019 began at 12:01 a.m. today after Senate Democrats late yesterday voted to block Republicans' plan to extend funding through November 24th. The Democrats said they would not approve new funding unless Trump agrees to extend expiring Obamacare subsidies and reverse Medicaid cuts. Trump administration officials said they plan to use the shutdown to carry out personnel cuts across agencies. Katie Edmondson reports for the New York Times. Natalie Andrews and Lindsay Ellis report for the Wall Street Journal. A D.C. magistrate judge yesterday preemptively refused to accept an indictment presented by prosecutors who, after failing to secure an indictment from a federal grand jury, took the federal charges to a local grand jury that returned an indictment. The magistrate described the tactic as unseemly and more than likely unlawful, stating that it appeared to be an example of grand jury forum shopping and further deepened the growing mistrust of the actions of prosecutors. U.S. Attorney for the D.C., Jeanine Pirro, accused the judge of being activist. Alan Feuer reports for the New York Times. U.S. Foreign Affairs. The Pentagon yesterday recommitted itself to scaling back its military mission in Iraq, reducing the number of U.S. forces in Iraq to fewer than 2,000. The United States will focus instead on combating Islamic State remnants in Syria by moving most of the troops to Iraq's Kurdistan region, a U.S. official told Reuters. Phil Stewart reports. U.S. immigration developments. The Trump administration said yesterday that it uncovered over 270 cases of suspected immigration fraud during an unprecedented enforcement operation in and around St. Paul, Minneapolis. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Director Joseph B. Edlow said yesterday that any city should be prepared to be the next site of an operation of this magnitude, as he declared war on immigration fraud. Madeline Goh reports for the New York Times. The Trump administration and South Korea reached an agreement yesterday to allow South Korean workers traveling on B-1 visas or ESTA to install, service, or repair equipment bought from abroad to build South Korean plants in the United States, Seoul's foreign ministry announced yesterday. Choi Sang-hun reports for the New York Times. Tech developments. Chinese AI models from developer DeepSeek lag behind U.S. models in performance, cost, security, and adoption, the Department of Commerce's National Institute of Standards and Technology said today. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick said the Center for AI Standards and Innovation report is clear that American AI dominates and shows why relying on foreign AI is dangerous and short-sighted. Global Affairs. Afghanistan enters its third day of a nationwide internet outage, according to several internet watchdogs. The watchdogs report that banking services are down, planes have been grounded, and all telecommunications have been affected. UN agencies have said that most aid deliveries have been stopped as a result, and called on the Taliban to restore the internet immediately. Francesca Regalado and Eliane Peltier report for the New York Times. A spokesperson for the Taliban today rejected reports of a nationwide internet ban, saying the disruptions were the result of decaying fiber optic infrastructure that is being replaced. The spokesperson did not say when services would be restored. AP News reports. The UN Security Council yesterday approved the deployment of a larger gang suppression force to Haiti, with the power to engage in combat with criminal groups. The U.S. Panama Plan envisions the deployment of up to 5,500 soldiers and police officers to Haiti. It is unclear which countries will contribute personnel and financial backing. Francis Robles reports for the New York Times. Jian Guo, a former aide to a member of the EU Parliament for the far-right Alternative for Germany party, was convicted yesterday for engaging in espionage for China. Guo was accused of passing information about EU negotiations to Chinese intelligence services. Kate Brady reports for The Washington Post. A military court in Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo, has sentenced former DRC President Joseph Kabila to death, having found him guilty last Friday of colluding with rebels and complicity in war crimes. Kabila did not appear at trial and has not been seen in public for months. William Wallace reports for the Financial Times. Israel-Hamas war. Israeli fire yesterday killed at least 36 Palestinians in Gaza, local hospitals said. 17 Palestinians were killed while attempting to access humanitarian aid in central Gaza, according to Al-Awda hospital officials. Israeli strikes in central and southern Gaza killed 19 others. Sami Magdi and Melanie Lidman report for AP News. Trump said yesterday that he would give Hamas 3 or 4 days to respond to White House proposal to end the war in Gaza. Qatari and Egyptian officials presented Hamas with Trump's plan on Monday, but there is no timeline for a Hamas response, according to a diplomat. The diplomat said the Hamas negotiators need to communicate with people in Gaza, which could take hours or days. Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey are urging Hamas to respond positively to the proposal, while noting that some points will need clarification and negotiation, according to another source. The source said that Hamas leaders told Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani that they would study the proposal in good faith. Irie Sentner reports for Politico. Barak Ravid reports for Axios. A senior Hamas figure told BBC News that Hamas is likely to reject Trump's plan as it serves Israel's interests and ignores those of the Palestinian people. The figure said that Hamas was unlikely to disarm and hand over their weapons, which is a key condition of the White House proposal. Hamas has not yet given an official response. Rushdie Abuluf reports. The global Sumud flotilla said this morning that one of its vessels was aggressively circled by an Israeli warship for several minutes as it approached Israel's naval blockade zone. At the time of writing, activists in the flotilla have confirmed they are back on course following this confrontation. Nathan Williams reports for BBC News. Russia-Ukraine war, international response. EU leaders will discuss plans for 4 flagship defense projects, including a drone wall to protect Europe, at a summit in Copenhagen today. EU leaders will also debate a proposal from the European Commission to use 140 billion euros, approximately $164 billion of frozen Russian assets, to fund a reparation loan for Ukraine. Andrew Gray and Jacob Gronholm-Pedersen report for Reuters. A populist opposition party in the Czech Republic has pledged to disband an ammunition program which gathers artillery for Kiev from around the world if it wins the parliamentary elections in Prague this week. According to polling, the party is expected to win the elections. The Populist Party has criticized the program as both overpriced and opaque. Lara Jakes reports for the New York Times. Russia-Ukraine war. Russia yesterday launched a rare daytime drone attack on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro, killing one person and injuring 20 others. Regional Governor Serhiy Lysak said the attack targeted the center of the industrial city. Yulia Disa and Olena Harmash report for Reuters. Houthi developments. Iran-backed Houthi rebels today claimed responsibility for an attack on a Dutch cargo ship in the Gulf of Aden earlier this week. Hadam Maher and Mohammed Gobari report for Reuters. Yemen's Humanitarian Operations Coordinator Center, a body affiliated with the Iran-backed Houthi rebels, announced yesterday that it will sanction 13 U.S. oil firms, 9 executives, and 2 vessels. The HOC said that the sanctions are in retaliation for U.S. sanctions imposed on the Houthis earlier this year. Lisa Bertlein reports for Reuters. Trump administration litigation. A federal judge yesterday ruled that the Trump administration had used the threat of deportation to systematically silence academics and students who protested in support of Palestinians, violating the First Amendment. The judge wrote that the case presented the issue of whether non-citizens lawfully present here in the United States actually have the same free speech rights as the rest of us. And the court answers this constitutional question unequivocally. Yes, they do. Zach Montague reports for the New York Times. A federal judge yesterday ruled that the top federal prosecutor in Nevada, Sigel Chadha, is disqualified from handling cases. The judge wrote that Chadha is not validly serving as acting U.S. attorney, and so her involvement in prosecutions would be unlawful. Erica Orden reports for Politico. A federal appeals court yesterday agreed to reconsider a ruling that blocked Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act to deport immigrants Trump accused of belonging to Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang. The court has kept in place a hold issued by the Supreme Court that serves as a nationwide ban on using the act to remove immigrants accused of belonging to TDA. Alan Feuer reports for the New York Times. A federal judge yesterday issued an order temporarily restraining the Trump administration from freezing hundreds of millions of dollars in emergency preparedness funds to Democrat states that opposed Trump's mass deportation campaign. Chris Cameron reports for the New York Times. 2 labor unions representing federal workers yesterday filed a lawsuit alleging that the Office of Management and Budget could not lawfully direct federal agencies to prepare plans to carry out mass reductions in force during the government shutdown. Faith Wardwell reports for Politico. The Justice Department yesterday filed a lawsuit alleging that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has violated Californians' Second Amendment rights because LASD only approved 2 concealed carry weapons permits out of more than 8,000 requests over 15 months. Jacob Wendler reports for Politico. In case you missed it, yesterday on Just Security, the imperative to weaken the Kremlin's war economy, What the West Can Do, by Michael Carpenter and Martin Vladimirov. The United Nations in Hindsight, the increasing use of Article 51 of the UN Charter and the Security Council, by Matthew Blaney. Taking Stock of the Birthright Citizenship Cases, Part 4, DOJ's Ineffective Responses to Plaintiff's Statutory Argument, by Marty Letterman. Thank you for listening to Just Security's early edition today, October 1st, 2025. If you enjoy listening, Just Security's analytic articles are also available in audio form on the justsecurity.org website. To stay up to date on Just Security's analysis of law, policy, and current events, go to justsecurity.org, subscribe to Just Security on Substack, and follow us on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Facebook, and Threads.